Peoria-based nonprofit is stepping in to help as Ukraine faces new missiles launched at them from Russia. Sam Matheny is in the studio to explain how first responders in Peoria are once again helping out. Sam.
That's right, Tyler. Chris Manson co-founded U.S. Ambulances for Ukraine in March of 2022 when his daughter asked him the question, "Dad, what can we do to help?" And the impact the nonprofit has made has only grown. Some of the video used in this story may be disturbing to viewers.
It's been more than 1,000 days since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. More than 11,000 civilians have been killed and tortured. Russian bombs have obliterated schools, hospitals, and even ambulances.
Any civilian in any part of Ukraine cannot be considered safe.
Since the nonprofit started in 2022, 30 states have donated ambulances, fire engines, and SUVs to help rescue Ukrainian civilians. Co-founder Chris Manson says 11 more vehicles are being prepared right now to ship out.
But we've also received tons of medical supplies, firefighting equipment, turnouts, the firefighting clothing, helmets, breathing apparatus, tools.
Manson says all the money donated goes to repairing and shipping the vehicles, which cost $9,000 each. Chillicothe and El Paso Fire, along with Illinois State Police and Advanced Medical Transport, are some of the local agencies to donate.
Whether it's in our own neighborhood, in our own city, in our own state, or even globally, there are always things that we can do to help other people.
Evgeny Drobit is the Deputy Consulate General of Ukraine in Chicago and says all of his family lives in eastern Ukraine.
Every single vehicle, first is a gesture of support. Then this gesture of support saving lives every single day.
Drobit says the Russian military have targeted ambulances hundreds of times, saying the vehicles donated are all on the front lines along Ukraine's northern, southern, and eastern borders.
Drobit says the best way to help is to spread the word of the violence happening or donate and volunteer at Ukraine-supporting nonprofits. More information on U.S. Ambulances for Ukraine can be found in this story in a link on our website, 25newsnow.com. Tyler.